I have chosen the best friend's brother as my anchor. My best friend's older brother, freshly divorced and twice my age, returns to town and stirs something in me I thought I had buried. A dangerous ache that feels like both ruin and rescue all at once. That night, just past midnight, I saw his text. "I can't keep lying to you. I've been with her for months." The words burned in a bright line across my phone, and for a heartbeat, I forgot how to breathe. The room tilting with the weight of what they meant and what they promised to topple in my already crowded life. If I tell you more, you might think I'm reckless, but you would be wrong to call me careless. For I'm tired of pretending there is only one map for a heart that has learned to bend around its own edges. Tired of pretending that a life built on quiet routines cannot hold a storm inside its quiet rooms. And so I let the storm come closer, letting the scent of sandalwood and rain cling to his jacket as he steps into my doorway after a long day on the road. And I feel the old electricity between us rise like heat along the skin of a chilly evening. And I know I am about to choose either safety or surrender, and I do not know which I will regret less. The setup of my life feels solid from the outside. A steady job that pays the bills, a marriage that has become predictable instead of passionate, a circle of friends who keep faith with me even when I do not keep faith with myself, and a best friend who would defend me to the ends of the earth, but who cannot protect me from the choices I now have to make. I am 37, with the stubborn glow of someone who has learned to survive disappointments with quiet jokes, and the careful arranging of home and career, so nothing blurs, nothing dissolves, nothing reveals the raw edges of a heart that has learned to pretend it is whole when it is only almost there, almost at peace, almost ready for something braver. And then he is here, standing in the doorway, smelling faintly of rain and tobacco and the old, stubborn hope that time can be rewound into a kinder version of itself. The setup moves through the ordinary like a river through a town, the days sewn together by coffee cups and small errands, the evenings spent with him at the kitchen table, while the world outside keeps changing its mind about what it means to be faithful. And I tell myself that the world wants to see me safe, wants to see me stay where I can pretend that love is a memory rather than a living, breathing consequence. Yet every glance we share shaves away another layer of that brittle armor I have worn so long. And I notice how his eyes have softened since the divorce, how he chooses words with care, how his hands, roughened from work and worry, tremble just a fraction before they reach for mine, as if he worries about making the wrong move, as if he too fears the price of truth more than the risk of desire. The inciting incident comes not from a dramatic confession, but from the quiet shattering of a life I had convinced myself was intact. I come home early one evening to find my husband's belongings removed from the closet and a note on the dresser that reads, in neat handwriting, that he cannot pretend any longer, that he has found something elsewhere, and that I should not call or text him, that he will contact me when he can bear to face the consequences of a decision he made long before this moment, a decision The betrayal lands in the bones as a kind of slow earthquake. The tremors begin in the wrists, in the way the keys feel heavier when I try to unlock the door, in the way my heartbeat drums against the ribs in a rhythm that sounds not like life, but like a warning, like something I must outrun if I hope to keep my skin intact. I sink into the hollow hours that follow, the hollow echo of footsteps in an empty house, the way the telephone screen glows with messages I cannot bear to read, the way tears arrive with the knowledge that what I have built on trust is now a fragile sculpture waiting for the wind to topple it. Jealousy, anger, and a fierce hunger to prove myself capable of choosing again and better settle in my chest and throat, and I find myself listening to old playlists with the volume turned up too high, as if the music could drown out the count of every breath I take that seems overscaled for this new life. Then comes the small, stubborn truth. I'm drawn not away from my pain, but into a new form of it that sparks when he speaks softly about the future we could never have had under the old rules. When he speaks of learning to trust again, not just in him, but in the possibility that a heart scarred by years of diminishing hope might still beat loudly enough to rebuild what was broken. A second chance that does not erase the past, but reframes it, so that the memory of the betrayal becomes a hinge rather than a wall between two people who once believed the ground would always be solid beneath their feet. The rising action unfurls with careful steps in the space between us. Late-night conversations on the back porch, candles lighting the pale sky as rain patters on the metal roof and gulls cry overhead. A borrowed kiss that lingers like a dare. A touch that travels from fingertip to mouth with a cautious fire. And I realize how dangerous it is to want what cannot be given freely. How dangerous it is to want what could unmake a life I am only just learning to rebuild. A secret ally appears in the motion of a tenant who rents the little studio above my garage. A bright, observant woman who sees the tremor in my hands and the way my eyes hold their breath when he comes to visit for a late-night talk. And she offers a practical kindness that never forgets the boundaries we both pretend not to need, drawing me back to the ground with coffee and a reminder of all the reasons I chose this world in the first place. The people who depend on me, the life that still fits me if I will only breathe into it rather than away from it. And in those moments, I begin to believe that perhaps a forbidden love can become a healing thing. A second chance not to erase the old wounds, but to stitch them with a thread of honesty and courage. If this confession has you on the edge of your seat, hit like and share because you will not believe what happens next. The truth arrives not as a sentence spoken aloud, but as a decision made in the quiet hours that follow. A promise to protect what remains of the life I am still building. To honor the friend who does not yet know the fullness of how his brother has changed. To trust my own judgment about what I owe to myself and to the man who asks little and gives more than I thought I deserved. A man who is. If you crave more raw emotional confessions, please like, share, and subscribe. Your next chapter awaits.